Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about a new show called Mean Girl Murders. This is the first season. Episode 1 started with Stacy DeGrandchamp, and it talks about her death and what happened to her. So I'm going to get into that one, and then I'm going to talk about Tiffany Boyer next. All right? It's a pretty good show. I think you should give it a try. It's on the ID channel. But it's really good. It's 4 episodes, but the 4th episode airs on March 27th. And I have another episode to watch, and then I'll be fully caught up. Okay, so Stacy Maria DeGrandchamp was born to Rita Kay in Fort Wayne in Allen County, Indiana on October 29th, 1984. Now, she went to Wayne High School and grew up in a single-parent home. Her friend Sarah Patterson had talked about, Stacy was so confident and beautiful. She was like a movie star. Now, her cousin, Jamie McMillan, also stated how Stacy always dressed immaculate and was a popular, pretty girl at high school. After high school, she planned to attend Ball State University and study computer technology. And that was her plan. Now, however, being pretty and a fashionista came with a price, and Stacy was judged too quickly by others. Her friend Rachel Freeman explained, "I feel that sometimes she was too harshly judged by girls. I know this sounds like such a cliche, but she was so beautiful that a lot of girls were just jealous of her. Like most American high schools, she explained how Wayne High School also had a social pyramid, with Stacy being one of the girls belonging to the higher pack. So, now we're going to go into how Stacy passed away. And I'm just giving you a little brief rundown, and you can watch the show, but it's pretty good. Now, Stacy was dating Brandon Muff, a high school graduate, in the spring of 2002. They had met at a house party, and Brandon then was 20, caught 17-year-old Stacy's fascination. Her friend described how she was head over heels in love with the senior guy, even when her family did not approve of him much. Now, Brandon used to mingle with a girls group consisting of primarily of Amanda Richards, Whitney McGee, and Holly Boisvert, Now, Whitney had recounted how they used to look for places to hang out and party, settling for anyone's house or any of their friends' house when their parents were away for the weekend. She said Holly had an understanding father who let her and her friends come out and hang out at their house all the time. Holly had a swimming pool, and her father was cool enough to allow all the girls to bring friends and hang out by the poolside. So when Brandon started dating Stacy, she also became, part of the group, and all of them used to just hang out together at Holly's place. Now, Whitney and others recounted on the show about the friction between Holly and Stacy that they had ever since middle school. Now, according to, Holly, according to that episode, Holly made fun of how Stacy dabbled her feet in the pool and made a splash around, leading to Stacy getting all worked up and storming her way out of the house, which to me, that was just so petty. They middle school girls at that time, so why would you even care if somebody's feet is splashing in the water or whatever? That was just so petty and childish. But, girls, how we do. We drama, right? We drama. Any little thing that'll bother us is going to bother us. So that's what that was in middle school. But you didn't think it would carry over until high school. But anyway, let's continue. Now, the friction seemed to just go over the years. It wind down over the years, and their mutual friends stated they mostly had a cordial relationship, though they mostly avoided each other. So they was pretty much okay with each other as long as they wasn't around each other and didn't have any conversation. Now, Brandon started dating Stacy. The issues between the two high school teens began to resurface, according to Whitney. Holly used to date Brandon before Stacy came in the picture. Jamie explained Holly had thought Brandon would return to her and was irked when Stacy started dating him instead. So that's not Stacy's problem. That's a Brandon problem. So Holly and Brandon used to date. They broke up. Okay. So she thought, well, you know what? He's going to come back to me. He did not go back to Holly. He instead started messing around with Stacy. But that's not Stacy's fault. It's not. So she bore a great hostility towards Stacy and was ready, it was a whole bunch of stuff. They wasn't going to back down from each other, okay? So a fight had happened between Holly and Stacy. So the fight had happened, and Brandon, for what they said in the show, Brandon had pulled Stacy off and put her inside the recycling bin for her to cool off. But Stacy was staggering when she got up. She was staggering to the car that her friend Amanda had drove over there. Now, I was looking at Amanda kind of side-eye because I'm like, did she really know those girls wasn't going to be there or was going to be there? I kind of feel like she knew, but she said she didn't know. But okay. So, at some point within the fight, Stacy had got stabbed in the chest, right, by her bra area, and she had passed away. So they, spent a whole bunch of time trying to find out what happened to her, and it finally came down to it that Holly was the one that did that, and she said it was nobody acted on it; it was her alone. So now she's locked up. She's locked up. So yes, Holly was the one, when they was fighting, she had the knife down in her pocket. So I guess as Stacy was getting the best of her, she pulled it out and cut her. But my thing is this, how did no one see that? If somebody takes out a knife, especially like a switchblade, like a knife you gotta open, why no one saw that? I don't know, to me that sounds kind of weird. Like somebody would have to see something. I know it was nighttime, it was dark, but no one saw this girl get cut, stabbed in the chest. Wow. So yeah, that was really it was a good episode, but it was kind of sad, So Holly had pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter in December of 2021. Her plea deal carried a 25-year sentence with 5 years suspended and 3 years adult probation. She was sentenced to the same in January of 2022. She's in her late 30s now, and she is serving her sentence at an Indiana women's prison, and her inmate records state her earliest possible release date to be March of 2030. Now, to me, she did a terrible thing, and she took someone's life, and I believe that she should have got life in prison, okay, because she took, Stacy's life. And I believe when you take a life, okay, you should get life in prison. That's just the way I think. Okay, so that's the story with Stacy DeGrandchamp. Now we're going to talk about Tiffany Boyers. Okay, Tiffany Boyer. Now, in the spring of 2015, Tiffany Boyer's friend Jimmy Guillotine got her a job as a nursing attendant for a disabled woman named Denise Cole. She acted as her caretaker and helped Denise recover, cook her food, and cleaned her home. Now, by August of 2015, gossip began to spread that Tiffany was stealing from Denise. All right. Now, even in the show, Denise said that Tiffany took about $20,000 from her and all this other kind of stuff. But I don't know if I believe that. Maybe somebody else took it. She thought it was Tiffany. But let's keep continuing. So with her being part of this whole party scene, because she was part of a party scene, this guy named Robert McGuire, which is also known as Machete Bob, stepped in and warned Tiffany about her stealing, Now, however, she started claiming that Robert raped her, which some members alleged to be a rumor on that part. Now, the Albuquerque Deputy District Attorney Sean Sullivan said Tiffany spread the rumor that Machete Bob had sexual assaulted her, raped her. And it spread quickly. I don't think she understood what the implications of what she said had happened had meant to the group that she was hanging around, women. Jimmy also said on the show that he thought Robert physically assaulted her, but was not sure about the sexual harassment part. Now, however, Tiffany's stepsister, Holly Donovan, stood by Tiffany and claimed it was not her character to make such false allegations. So on August 20th of 2015, the sheriff's office received an anonymous tip that 44-year-old Robert was missing under suspicious circumstances after being last seen 5 days earlier on August 15th. Now, the source also claimed Robert's belongings were left behind at his residence. The deputy received another tip that Robert's body might be in the trunk of a car parked in the Los Lunas parking lot. Now, however, authorities found no such vehicle or corpse at the mentioned parking lot. So the police went to talk to Denise, who claimed that Tiffany had been behind the allegation, the whole allegations, because of the whole thing, the sexual harassment, right? And she said that she's behind Robert's murder. But this is the thing. He was reported missing, right? So who said he was murdered? Because no one knows that, if he was murdered for sure at this time. But she said she would have talked about the alleged murder. But no one spoke about a murder. But I guess because they didn't find him, they assumed that he was dead. So she's blaming it on Tiffany. Now, the officers also spoke with one of the leading members of the party group called Shauna Cannon, who echoed the same sentiments, feeling that Tiffany had valuable information about the case. The investigators tried to track her down, but they could not find her. Around a week later, Tiffany's mom filed a missing persons report. And this is where it gets crazy. Okay? So they were not able to find out what it was. So now, Jake, her boyfriend, he knows a lot more, but he's scared to say. So the cops had to go around and get information. And Sean was getting most of the information. Okay? So Jake was there when Shauna picked up, I think it was Shauna that picked up Holly, and he rode along and took them to this house. I think it was Machete Bob. No, it was Paul's house, I believe. And they were all there, and he said he was tied up and thrown in a closet, and it was nailed. And he heard a whole bunch of moving around. So that was probably the stuff that he heard was Tiffany getting beat up by one of the girls. Okay. And one of the girls tried to strangle Tiffany, but she could not kill her. So I guess she wasn't as tough as she thought she was. So Paul came around with the hammer and knocked Tiffany upside the head. One blow, and that was it. Okay. But the cops did their work because they finally got up everybody. Shauna was doing most of the talking. The guy that was with them, he wanted immunity, and he told the cops everything about what had happened and with the hammer, all this kind of stuff. He was going in, but he wanted immunity. So I guess he got what he wanted, baby. He started singing like a bird. But they caught up with Paul, Uncle Paul, they called him, Shauna and Stephanie, which is also they call her Ray Ray. So they are in custody, and they will be getting time in prison. Now, Uncle Paul, he's got life in prison, and he was in his 60s. So he doesn't care at all because he's going to die in prison. Okay, he's absolutely going to die in prison. Now, this is the thing though. After they found Tiffany's body, right? They also found Machete Bob's body. But his case is still unsolved because nobody knows what happened to him or who murdered him. So Stephanie was sentenced to 24 years after she pleaded guilty. Paul received a life sentence on first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, kidnapping, and other charges. Okay, Shauna and Joshua pled guilty to kidnapping and were sentenced to 6 to 8 years in prison. But I thought he got immunity from what the show said. But he was still part of all of it. So, yeah. This was a good show. It's a good show. And I do recommend you guys watching it. Now, I will talk about the other episode later on, probably tomorrow sometime. But this is really good. If you're into true crime and you're into this kind of stuff, the murders and unsolved murders, this is the show for you. Because this is the kind of stuff I like to talk about. Okay? When I'm not watching reality TV and stuff, I'm watching this. But anyway, you guys, I talked long enough. So have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.